Hello, BookTube. I thought we'd go through the 1200 Q&A that I asked for the other day on the video where I noticed that subscriber count. And at first, I looked at the comments in that video and I thought, well, not many questions here. My original impulse was correct. You people just know enough about me already. I'm not curious. And then I remembered that I've given 900 of you my email. And when I checked that, boom, there were all the questions. And I've grouped them into some general categories, and I will put the screenshots up in the. Just kidding. I have no idea how to make a screenshot. First one by far most common one was tell me about your dogs. Is there in every video? I guess that makes sense. I have here. Let's see if we can do it. I have a 14-year-old basset hound named Lucy, who is always right next to me. That's, you don't see her in the videos, but she's always right next to me. And on the other side of me is a 14-year-old pointer named Malin, who is sick. Actually, both my dogs are sick. Malin has a degenerative nerve disorder that's slowly crippling her, and Lucy has cancer. So, although I don't like to stress it, and of course it's never come up on these videos, this will almost certainly be my last summer with both of them. So it's a little melancholy. I'm certainly glad that I have the freedom, employment wise, to answer their needs. It would be much worse if I were leaving for an office or a job every day. Question number 2, or group question number 2. Tell us about your travels. That was another big one. Where have you gone? Where have you lived? A long time ago, 100 videos ago, I covered the where have you been part of this question in a very easy way. It's a very easy construction that in my life has served me quite well in answering that question. I have never been to Australia or New Zealand. Period. So if you're wondering, have I ever been to the Pampas of Brazil, or the Ross Ice Shelf, or your hometown, or the Outer Banks, or the Texas Panhandle, or you name it. Has he ever been? If the next thing you're going to say is Australia or New Zealand, then the answer is no. If the next thing you're going to say is anything else, the answer is yes. But I've also lived in a lot of places. I've lived in Venice for a while. I lived in Ireland for a while. I've lived in Austin. I've lived in Iowa, New York, and here in Boston, my favorite place in the world. Many, many, many tedious stories, I assure you. Group question number 3. Tell us about your parents. Oh, that was quite touching. My father was a taciturn, stern man that I never got to know. Never even crossed my mind to get to know him before he died. But my mother had the gift of gab, had a natural at talking, at laughing, and finding stuff to talk about and to laugh about. And I had the great good fortune of getting to know her as a person, as a friend, before she died, not just as a parent. And that was wonderful. That was really wonderful. I highly, highly recommend it to all of you, if possible. Question number 4. Tell me about reviewing. Its histories, its ups and downs, some interesting stories. And this is a huge subject. It's a whole video on its own because I've done a huge amount of it. It actually links up with another question, which is to tell us about your past, because I started out as an editorial writer, politics, and then went to be a arts and entertainment freelancer, and then an arts editor, and then a freelance reviewer, all over the place, all over the Midwest, and then I stopped for a quarter of a century, stopped for 25 years in order to be a bookseller, and did nothing in the way of writing during that time except fiction. And now I have come back to reviewing. And so that's a long time with a lot of stories. There's the usual stuff, getting big plot items wrong in your review and being called on it. And there's little stuff, authors who really can't take criticism, or all authors who love it. I have many, many tedious Grandpa Simpson stories. I'm sure they will unspool over time here. And once again, I should point out, since it's tangentially connected here, if any of you want to break into reviewing, I would be happy to help you. Uh, uh, let's see here. Tell me about your tech. And that is my MacBook Pro in its plastic blue cover, because I'm very hard on stuff and I would scratch it or nick it. There's my Amazon Kindle, $50. There's my ancient iPad 2. Uh, and there's my iPhone, which I'm filming on right now, the iPhone 5. So that's 4 pieces of tech, which, 25 years ago, if you told me that I would have 4 pieces of tech and I would vigorously use them all, I'd have said you were crazy. But I love it. I absolutely love it. And there's no entertainment section of the house with a mile of wires and a ton of repair manuals and all sorts of separate power protocols. There's nothing like that at all. Nothing. Every 2 days, I just plug these slates of plastic and metal and glass into a socket for a couple of hours. That's it. And they do everything. It's incredible. Let's see here. Tell me about your day. My day is very monotonous. I get up at 5:30 or 5:15, somewhere between 4:30 and 5:30, because Lucy is losing control of her bladder. So she can't go very long without needing to go outside. So we get up and go out. Her sister won't stay, and they have to go out together. We get up and go out before dawn, and then she sleeps, and then the next time she has to get up is a few hours later, and then we get up and go out again. In the interval, I usually read my day's first book, and then in the late morning she settles down. I feed them. I feed myself. And then I get to work on my next book. Really, it boils down to that. It's just a metronome ticking back and forth between dogs and books all day long. And then in the late afternoon, so roughly between 4:30 and 8 or 9 or 10, that is not reading time. That is work time. That's if the girls are up for it, that's a long walk. Long in this case being incredibly slow waddle around the block, but still they love it. And that's usually a ton of emails. That's usually emailing editors and doing writing and whatnot. And then I wind my way towards turning into a pumpkin at midnight and just reading again. Let's see here. Number 8, tell me about your past dogs. Unlike these two, a Basset Hound and a Pointer, they've all been beagles. Just a huge number of beagles. There have been times in my life where I had a little crowd of them, tails all up like that, just all around my ankles wherever I went. There was Judge, who was a great source of wisdom. There was Moro, who was born blind, still managed to get around. His brothers took good care of him, so did I. He managed to do a lot more traveling than most humans do. There was Lady May, who meant a lot to me. There was Aiden, who stayed with me for 23 years, something of an unheard of thing for dogs. There was a sweet little Weiser, a round little piebald beagle. And there was one other beagle, my best friend, the best friend I've ever had. But it's been that. When I walk down the sidewalk and see a beagle, everything comes immediately to alert in me, even though I haven't had one in 14 years. And let's see here. Number 9, tell us how BookTube has changed you. I got a lot of questions about that. Has BookTube changed you? And I couldn't figure out, are the questions wondering if BookTube has? Because starting it, I wondered if it would too, and boy, has it ever. It's getting to know so many of you, seeing all the passion in your videos, including and maybe especially for books that I don't feel passionate about. It hasn't always changed my mind about those books, but it's made me respect the passion a lot more than I ever did. In the past, seeing that, my first reaction would have been, well, you're simply wrong, and if I had the time, I would show you how wrong you are. Now, I have just as strong an opinion about all of these books that I'm seeing from the rest of you, but I respect the passion so much more that I'm not interested anymore in the right or wrong of it. I just want to know why people love what they do enough to actually get in front of a camera and talk about it. And I can't wait to see that process continue. That feels like growth, and I love that. And the last one we'll do for now, who knows what will happen at 13,000. Tell us how you're liking BookTube. In addition to that process of growth, I'm liking it quite a bit. It was an amazing moment to go through a trial by fire and find genuine supportive people. That was wonderful. It was just that day, the day that whole nonsense on Twitter started off horrible. It started off as a horrible day, and it ended up a wonderful day, and it's stayed wonderful because we talk books and we make recommendations, and I fire off things in the mail. And it's just an added plus to my life, to a life full of books and reading and whatnot. So I'll end with that, with a sincere vote of thanks to all of you, and also and a vote of encouragement to those of you who watch but do not make. You will love it. It is an added plus to your day, to your life. So there you go. There's some 12K questions. We'll be back with book hauls and rants in no time. And here's fingers crossed that this whole video works, because I'm still reeling from the loss of the ability to film these things on my laptop. But hoping that it does, I'll see you shortly, BookTube. Thank you.